Welcome to The Knowledge. The leaders of some of the most powerful and wealthy nations in the world are gathering here in London for the G20 summit. Amongst other things, there's going to be a series of high-level discussions on how to lift the world economy out of recession. Amongst all of that, if the job isn't hard enough already, there's going to be a series of protests and marches going on. Young people are a group particularly likely to be affected by the recession, if they haven't been already. They're making up significant numbers of the marchers wanting to make their voices heard to the G20 leaders. To find out the significance of the G20, what it means for young people, and how we can avoid the need for one in the future, we've been over to speak to Dr Christopher Houghton Budd of the Centre for Associative Economics, who's given us his view on the summit. Okay, we're here with Dr Christopher Houghton Budd of the Centre for Associative Economics. Thanks very much for joining us today, Dr Houghton Budd. First off, can you explain to us what is the significance of the G20 summit? We've heard a lot about the summit in the news, but can you explain its actual significance to us?
If you take an official point of view, it's about rescuing the world economy from the current crisis. And if you look at someone like Koletsky in the Times or the G20 summit site, it mentions things like rescuing the banks, fiscal and monetary stimulus by governments, and importantly, trying to make sure this never happens again. If you were to take a more alternative view or a youth point of view, you might wonder whether those are the really key issues. And so if you look at demonstrators, they're wondering about environmental issues, putting people first, these kind of topics. So I think some people might say it's a stitch up, which is not really paying attention to every point of view. I'd like to think I'm fairly neutral about that.
Now, you've spoken of the need to improve financial understanding, financial literacy, you've called it, amongst young people. How would you go about doing that if you had the opportunity?
Well, I think they should be taught finance as early as possible. So let's say at least in a secondary school, and preferably taught work like how to do bookkeeping, what it means, and so on. But as much as possible with what I call project work. So if you're going to kind of finance a school outing, make a little budget for it and learn how to kind of run a cash flow and get as much hands-on experience of accounting and reading around, especially economic history, where economics comes from. And I think also not just learning how to work the credit card system, which is what most financial literacy is kind of focused on. But is it a good thing? What the issues around credit and so on? So I would say as broad as possible education on the kind of context whereby modern finance has come about, not just the techniques of finance. And I say that because I think they're largely plotless, they're mainly technique. And a key problem we have is not having a plot, not understanding where we are in economic history.
Now, for a lot of students and indeed graduates, the thought of studying economics can fill them with dread. It certainly did with me. How would you go about making the study of finances and economics more interesting for a younger audience, more engaging perhaps?
Partly by doing hands-on stuff. So as I said, by running a project, running a school play and making sure it makes money or something like this. So not just having an abstract link, but doing your accounts in connection with an activity. This is quite crucial. Also wondering whose the profit is for, and then having the opportunity to give it away to somebody, so you have a sense of the issues that attend profit or discussion of profit. I would say also the kind of work I do is very, very visual. And if you work visually in economics, you can get outside of the abstract concepts. And in youth workshops we do a lot of singing, dancing, poetry, writing songs about accounting, believe it or not, rewording The Wizard of Oz, which is a monetary allegory for certain people. So anything and everything which will just kind of overcome the reputation of economics as a dismal science.
And of those options that you've outlined, aside from the work that you personally are doing, how much is actually open to young people at the moment?
It's open to anyone who's interested. I am involved in a project called Air Beneath Their Wings, which is about, first of all, kind of the question of do young people have any sense of their identity? Secondly, do they have a sense of vocation or calling? And thirdly, if they know who they are and what they want to do, are people there to finance them? So the idea of air beneath their wings is really to basically give them money when they want to, say, go to university, not indebt them with student loans when they go to university, to give an example. And those workshops we're kind of piloting them around the world in whatever school will take us in. It goes wherever it goes. It depends on the student body, whether they're well-disciplined, whether they're interested, whether they're mandated to go to the workshop or whatever.
Okay, we've heard a lot about the future, perhaps back to the present now. What are your personal hopes for the G20 summit? What are you looking for at the outcome?
I would hope for something which is more related to young people and their aspirations and not so much to governmental directed economics. So for me, the G Summit is kind of interesting, but not really, because it's governments getting together and calling the shots and waving their magic wands. And I would rather be more grassroots, working with young people and how they get the credit they want for what they want to do. And I think that touches many practical issues in finance also. But from a point of view of a future generation, for me, the key question is how do we capitalize young people for what they want to do, and not and to move away from the idea that governments get to run economic life in this kind of macro sense. So that's where my focus is really.
Okay, Dr. Christopher Houghton Budd of the Centre for Associative Economics, thank you very much for talking to us today. Thank you. So, that's the G20 explained, that's the significance for young people explained, and we've heard what young people need to be doing in order to avoid the need to have a summit like this again. Now all we need to do is hear your views on the subject. Let us know by logging on and leaving us a message at www.catch21.co.uk.